President Donald Trump's executive order attempting to protect the nation from foreign terrorist entry in the United States imposes a 90-day travel ban on the citizens of 7 predominantly Muslim countries: Iraq, Syria, Iran, Sudan, Libya, Somalia, and Yemen. The order also suspends the U.S. refugee admissions program for 120 days. In addition, it indefinitely prohibits Syrian refugees from entering the United States. When Trump delivered this executive order, over 109 people were detained in the first 24 hours. I caught up with an immigration attorney over the phone named Kevin Lederman, and I asked him how this executive order has affected some of his clients.
It certainly affected my clients very profoundly in that his executive order has created a pretty intense state of anxiety amongst the entire immigrant community, both the documented and undocumented. People feel very vulnerable and insecure in the United States right now, and his executive order has really had a hugely significant impact on many of my clients who were still citizens of one of the 7 countries, but lawful permanent residents were unclear about whether they could travel. This also applied to dual nationals. I have many clients who are Canadian citizens as well as citizens of Iran or citizens of Libya or Iraq. And the executive order, the initial executive order, it was unclear whether it applied to them, so there was much anxiety about that.
Legally speaking, immigrants are those who are given permanent United States residency. However, temporary immigrants with work visas, students and tourists alike, as well as refugees, could still be barred from entering the United States with this executive order. I asked Mr. Lederman if he can give us an example of issues his clients had with this particular order.
Well, one example is that I represent a scientist who working on cancer research at a large biotech company here in Seattle. He is here legally with authorization to work from the United States government, but he happens to be a citizen of Iran, and his work as a scientist involves presentations at scientific conferences all around the world where he shares his cancer research with the scientific community. The executive order has meant that he could not travel to these events with any certainty of being allowed to return to the United States. In fact, the executive order would prohibit him from returning to the United States.
The point of the order is to keep would-be foreign terrorists out of the United States. However, that raised the question of how many foreign-born people have actually committed these crimes in the U.S. A particular report identified 154 foreign-born people convicted of carrying out a terrorist attack in the United States over the last 40 years. Only 17 of these 154 foreign-born terrorists were from the 7 countries covered by Trump's administration. But none of the 17 was responsible for any deaths, even though the 7 countries combined represented almost 40% of all refugees accepted into the United States. So the question is Trump really justified in banning these 7 countries? That's for you to decide.